Hello everyone and welcome back to the Fireside stream. I am your host, Raymond McNeil, expert stockbroker this side of Twilight Town, and I fumbled that line. Joining me as always is the immortal Mollie Rhyme Master. Mollie, how are you doing today?
Hi chat. If I had a nickel for every business-minded, half-Hispanic person with a lot of food allergies I've dated, I've had 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's very weird that it's happened twice.
Well, that's a way to open the show. All right. Yes. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Fireside stream. I hope you all had a lovely week. I know there's a couple of people out there having a really good week, and a lot of people out there having a really bad week right now, and everyone's kind of scrambling around that. I'm having a fun time watching. You can bet I am. But we're not here to talk finances. We're here to talk fan fiction. In specific, AUs. Mollie, what is an AU?
An AU is cringe, usually.
You hurt me, Mollie. You hurt me. You're hurting me, Smalls. You're hurting me.
Okay, an AU is when you take characters already existing in one universe and you put them in another universe. Common AUs include the Immortal, Coffee Shop AU, Rock Band AU, Office AU, High School AU. My issue with AUs tends to be that, they don't, give the character anything. Like a lot of shows, the characterization is based off of, the stress of the current situation, and it's really hard to translate that into, something normal. So, for example, in Three Houses, a lot of the characters are, very fucked up by the feudal system, which, doesn't translate to a high school AU.
What if it was real life medieval AU? It's basically it's the same thing but slightly different. Maybe no magic, that type of thing.
You know what bothers me is I've never seen like modern warfare at you. Like in Fire Emblem, you're in war. That is every single Fire Emblem game. That is the premise. But
Sort of seen that.
I've never seen anyone be like they are in a modern army. Like that's what a literal modern AU should be, not like Edelgard is a banker.
I've seen that for Little Witch Academia, actually, I think. I don't know if it counts. But it was written by Onhiro. I'm pretty good friends with him. Well, not friends with him. I'm acquaintances with him now. I think it was like the years later AU. He had like a whole little spin-off with like all the different romances where they went, but like the main core of it was like a war between witches and like a necromancer, and it was just super hardcore. Actually, no, it was technically a sequel. It was pretty cool.
I sometimes I just want to see Fire Emblem characters with guns.
You should see if Dishwasher
Wasn't there a
has
My
some.
Little Pony fanfic that did a Modern Warfare AU? What? What?
All right, you say. So here's the thing. I do bad fanfiction readings at night with Nakago in the server. That might be on the list. That sounds incredible. But I hate My Little Pony, so
The first like internet drama I ever got into was with a brony who claimed he was as oppressed. He claimed, or not as oppressed. He claimed he was oppressed for being a brony. He's like, "You have no idea what it's like to have everyone hate you for no reason." And I was like, "Bruh."
no, we have a reason. You smell funny. Like most.
Oh my gosh!
bronies
Did I ever
do.
tell you guys the Smash Club story?
I don't know. Please. I mean, I kind of like giving people time to roll in. So please go ahead and illuminate
Yeah.
us.
Okay. So when I was like a sophomore, or I was a sophomore or junior, and there's a Smash Bros club at my school, because of course, and usually it's in this big, wide open room in the student union, in the lower level, where there's like it's a big games room. So there's a pool tables and ping pong tables, and there's a section of it that has TVs, and that's where the Smash Club kids play. It's fine because it's a big space. And then one day they couldn't get that room for some reason, like got booked out by somebody else, which was very weird. So they played it in one of the rooms upstairs, which is a lot smaller and closed off. It's like a regular kind of conference room. And I walked in, the smell, like a brick wall, just whoa, just the smell of body odor. I could not be in there.
Have you been to a convention?
Usually,
Have you been to a convention?
I would go just to like hang out with people. I don't play Smash Bros. But like,
well, I'm asking where does it rank up with Confunk?
I've only been to one convention. It was small, so I can't tell you.
Ah, okay.
Last time I went to a convention, I got a flu, which gave me Bell's palsy and an ear infection.
That sounds about average for most conventions. But the I was gonna say, because Confunk is one of those things that like, if you were at the con all 3 days, it's one of those things you don't notice necessarily. Like you'll maybe notice the occasional really bad smelling person, but it's like one of those things where like if you come in on the 3rd day completely unexposed to a convention, you're like immersed in this just god awful smell.
Okay, the only like example I have is I played hockey in high school, so I to compare between a post game locker room of teenagers, I would prefer the locker room.
Damn.
Than Smash Bros. Club, yeah.
That is a hardcore preference there. Speaking from someone.
And by the way, this is hockey, so everybody is wearing like full gear that absorbs all the smell.
I mean, I can only imagine because like I never was on a sports team. I was a mock trial guy, but in high school, just getting changed for gym, and we were like an open air area. We just changed in the middle of the gym. It was, I could smell the other guys. I'm like, okay, this is ripe. Ripe. I can only imagine what it's like for a full sports team in close conditions like that.
Yeah, so I would prefer that over going into enclosed Smash Bros. Club again.
How did we get off starting the stream about AUs with smell? That's a weird...
I don't know, but Mupa asked, was it co-ed? I played on a co-ed team. I was the only woman, which is probably a mistake.
I mean, I can name a number of reasons, but in specific, what was the mistake?
People grow big. I did not.
Ah. Fair enough. Have you ever watched Ruby, Fanimation, Silver, and Dark? They're really good. I have watched those. In fact, Silver I tried to recruit onto Over the Seas back in the day. And he said he wanted to finish those trailers before he joined any teams. And the project died long before that because we didn't have enough animators. So I'm not blaming him, but I'm blaming him. I'm kidding. He's a good dude. He's a pretty good dude. Dark I've only recently seen. The stank of Axe body spray. Yep. I used Axe body spray for the longest time, and then I stopped because it's cringe. So anyway, enough about this stuff. Let's actually move on to more pleasant things than body odor. Fanfiction AUs. Now, I can't remember. I believe we asked for Ruby AUs in specific. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
So, first one we're up is, he's in the chat. The anonymous guy. Who says, I kind of kicked myself when I remember this was supposed to be 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks, so I definitely could have done some tweaking if I hadn't forgotten that. We get that. It's a hard thing to really, remember necessarily. This is... we're starting to try and get an actual rhythm with how these streams work and where they go. So I understand that kind of confusion.
I don't use Twitter anymore, and it is in fact blocked on my computer. I did that. I made it so it's blocked. So it is kind of a hassle for me to open it. So if you could just send Google Docs, that would be a lot better.
Yeah, you guys, Google Docs all the way. Here, I can post you the pictures. So you can at least read along with us. Actually, it would probably be easier just to... Oh, no, I have to read it on here, but...
By the way, to the AOT fans in chat, big weekend this weekend. Big weekend. We are but 1 point away from tying Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood in terms of ratings.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
It is. I didn't want the winning episode to be the one that we're about to get, but that's... Is it manga readers get it.
I would send Google Docs, but I'm blocked from sending you anything through direct message on Twitter. Me or her? That's my question. And I guess you're not in Discord then. Oh my gosh, is that a Star Wars AU? Probably. Okay, there we go. Sorry guys, I don't know when we cut out there. That just happened. Yes, I imagine that Star Wars is a very popular AU. Ever wondered if Whitley ever wanted his own path? I don't wonder anything about Whitley. He seems like a one-note character right now.
He is the bitchy one.
Basically. I mean, he's the one that, he might have a heart of gold. I don't care. Why do they assume I care? I barely care for the main characters at this rate.
It's like with Cinder. It's like, look, she has a tragic backstory. I'm like, do I look like I give a shit?
Celtic, and I do have my stuff set to public. I might not be following you. That might be why. I might have to follow you to let that happen. I'll look into that anonymous guy. At least I'll try to remember that at the end of the stream. Oh, also, before we get started, do remember that the streams are going to be backlogged on a different channel, the Fireside Phoenix. The link is in the description down below, I think. Let me double check that. Yes, it is in the link down below. Remember to go there for archive streams. Last week's is still up on this channel, but that's only because I'm still rolling out all the old ones. And that one's going to go up and go down on this channel and up on that one at basically the end of that cycle. So, you know, enjoy it on this channel while it lasts, because once that's all done, once it's all rolled up out on there, these things are not going to stay up on this channel.
This AU is based on the scene where Yang lost her arm, and then Blake said, "Okay, bye, sweetie, hold that L." That's when I started shipping them. I don't know about you.
You see, it's really weird. That scene sets up perfectly, like, oh, you care for her. I'm going to I'm going to make her, like, it sets up perfectly. Hey, let's start shipping Yang and Blake. All right, great. Blake abandons Yang. Wait, what?
Bye, sweetie. Hold that L.
All right, well, enough making fun of this. Let's get into it. Okay. Also, sorry it's not properly formatted on the screen. Twitter plays with perspective a lot. A remnant far, far away. Blake ran through the grand hall, basically dragging Yang at this point as she's slipping. As she was slipping in and out of consciousness. She just barely managed to duck behind one of the many pillars lining the hall as 3 or more soldiers holding large blaster rifles run in. All right, first comment. Confused, tense. Almost immediately. Let's see. Blake ran through the grand hall, basically dragging Yang at this point. That's past tense.
She just barely managed. And then...
Yeah. And then you have large blaster rifles run in. That's present tense. It's like you're mixing up your tenses, buddy. That's a pretty hard problem there. You gotta look into that. You gotta make sure every single tense is proper. I mean, I always use it's present perfect. I think I usually use present perfect is pretty nice. Did you see them? One calls out, his voice echoing from another part of the hall. Another yells, I think they went this way. Follow me. Yang stirs awake and looks down at the smoldering, cauterized nub that was her arm. Hey, Blake.
That's not how you spell nub, is it?
No, it is not. Nub is just normal N. It's just an N. No, you don't need a K there. Though I understand that, like, there are weird words with the KN sound, so I can kind of understand that a little bit. Hey, Blake.
Also, I don't want to see you blaming us on autocorrect, because autocorrect would not do that.
Yeah. Also, autocorrect caught you misspelling finally. Finally lost that 10-pound. Blake interrupts, shushing her. It should be comma after interrupts, shushing her. Or I would just cut that out and just say Blake shushed her. Just go with that. Yang is just coming out of her delirious state when she shoves herself away from Blake and begins firing her gauntlet blaster at a rapidly approaching Adam, who bats away her blaster rifle with little resistance. Yang moves her arm into position and ignites the lightsaber mounted into her gauntlet, just in time to deflect Adam's. There! Over there! Adam yells. There! Open fire! Some soldier orders. Blake runs into the open area of the hall, drawing their attention. She takes a deep breath as she ignites saber end of her gamble shroud and begins deflecting blaster fire from all around her.
She ignites the saber end.
Yeah.
Dude, you have to read these back to yourself.
Yeah, this is pretty. I mean, I understand you could have had another week to work on it,
but it's not long, and it's a consistent issue.
Here's the thing: if you don't enjoy reading back your own work, why are you writing it? And that's a weird thing because, like, I hate going back and editing. I despise it. But it's more I hate the busy work involved, not that I hate my own story. If I hate my own story, I realize there's something wrong. So that's where you got to kind of line up with that. You got to figure out what exactly are you writing and why. And if you don't enjoy reading it back to yourself, like the reason why I actually like going back and editing my work in some regard is because when I clean it up, I like reading what I'm reading. I enjoy the story that I'm telling. You should always write for yourself in that way. Now, also, I'm noticing some issues that I have with a lot of fanfiction AUs. Not properly adapting the source material. And this is something that I've had a lot of meditation on. You're trying really hard to stick close to the Ruby formula. Having Yang be like have the gauntlets, and Blake has Gamble Shroud, and like the lightsabers are all parts of them. You're trying to keep that Ruby element, but you're not trying to properly adapt the Star Wars element, because Star Wars doesn't have anything quite like the Ruby element. And the fact that these characters, it seems kind of like a jumbled mess. So what I would recommend is choosing one over the other. Do they have lightsabers and blasters, or do they have gauntlets and Gamble Shroud? Now, there are ways to do that. There's ways to incorporate that. Like, for example, there's elements in Star Wars that you can use for Gamble Shroud. Vibroblades, you could have that. A vibroblade on top of a blaster? That seems doable. But a lightsaber on top of a blaster seems kind of, like, weirdly overkill. Also, having a lightsaber coming out of a gauntlet, like, that seems very bad, because if you bend your wrist up at any direction, you're going to cut off your own knuckles. So, yeah, that's... You gotta think, like, there is practicality within the universe, and I know there is that stupid guy that literally has lightsaber armor. It's so stupid. Star Wars is filled with a lot of stupid things. You don't have to be stupid. Keep that in mind. So, what was I? Yang and Adam ducked and weaved between the pillars of the Grand Hall, dodging each other's strikes as well as the ever-present firing squad. Yang's half-conscious state becoming more and more of a problem by the second. Yang's half-conscious state became more and more of a problem by the second. She focused her... Focusing her mind on the Force, she tried to break through the fog in her head and ignore the pain of what was left in her other arm. But the pendulum swing of the room and double vision weren't helping. But the pendulum swings of the room.
The swing of the room is kind of a cool metaphor.
Is it more pendulous? Is that actually the word? Pendulous is probably the more...
I don't know, but I do like that visual.
Yeah, I think that's... Okay, yeah, here's a gem. You can take it... So we're not completely harping on you. I actually do like that imagery. The pendulum swing. Like, you get that real sense of, like, swaying that she's having. Now, I don't think it's realistic for her to keep fighting with a missing arm. At least not as...
Yeah, even by Star Wars standards, that's kind of insane.
Yeah, by Star Wars standards, also on top of that, against Adam? Like I understand...
I think he's using Ezra Bridger's taser pistol and lightsaber combo for Gamble Shroud's excuse. I don't know what these words are. Okay, it's from Star Wars Rebels. I didn't watch Star Wars Rebels. That show was made like 3 years ago, and I'm 21.
That show was made like 3 years ago, and like I was too old for the Clone Wars when it came out. Adam slammed his saber down into Yang's as she just barely had time to discern which was the real Adam. Look, I don't care about your little group. I'm just here for her, he points to Blake. So unless you want to lose both your arms, back off. You might want to go... I mean, I think that can work, but you might want to go with a period after Blake and a capital S there. Just saying. I think that might work a little bit smoother, but, you know, that works okay, I think, as a split-up sentence. With the Force, Yang dismounts her saber from the gauntlet into her hand. I'm not sure if dismount is the right word there. Disconnects. Separates. I'm pretty sure dismount is not quite not the imagery you want to go for. If you want her, she capital lowercase s. She strikes the ground, burning a line into the marble floor. Then you gonna have to go through me. and suddenly Yang becomes a little more urban in her diction. You're gonna have to go through me. No, you apostrophe re going to. For Yang, I think, let's see. Yeah, no, Gona works. Gona works, but you need the your in there. She does use some proper language. Fuck Age, I rewatched that shit. Yeah, I haven't heard good things about either show.
About what?
Either Star Wars animated series.
I heard Clone Wars slapped. I mean, I liked it when I was 8. Maybe, I should trust my opinions.
But people are like, watch it after you're an adult, and it's not. It's people point out that it's allergic to like nuance and that sort of thing. I mean, I don't have a strong opinion on it. I just know like my friends told me it was good, but I'm like, I never had an interest in it.
Gosh, you know what? I started. My roommate and I got through 4 episodes of Demon Slayer before deciding it was awful because it didn't have any nuance. It just says everything to you at once, and Clone Wars seems better by comparison right now.
Let's see. Adam and Yang ready for another round when Security Chief Coco's voice rang through the halls. Through the hall. Hey, guess what Mama just got cleared to use? Coco stood at the top of the stairs in full view of the soldiers. Yang, Adam, and Blake brandishing her baby. Semicolon. A 200-barrel rapid fire mini blaster, and it was already humming. Okay, this one works. This is an adaptation that works. They do have Gatling lasers. There's a cat knocking at my door. I don't know if it picks up on the audio. Can you guys hear that? Can you hear that? Do you hear that, Molly?
I don't hear anything.
Okay, good. Good. Hopefully it doesn't pick up. Yang and Blake booked it behind pillars as Coco simply started spraying as though Luke ordered her to bring down the whole temple with her baby. All right, I'm gonna stop here because anonymous guy, you really need to work on your grammar. You need to work on your grammar. You need to work on your tensing. You need to work on your your spelling's all right, but I imagine a lot of that's like, autocorrect. Clone Wars is good. Please stop calling it a kids show. I don't know. I haven't been too impressed with what I've seen.
It's not super kiddie. It wasn't an Adult Swim show, but it appeared on like that later part of Cartoon Network.
Yeah. No, I know.
Rebels is very kiddie.
It tried to have a little more of a mature edge.
I've heard that like the last season of Clone Wars is like god tier, but I've never watched it. It was one of the highest rated episodes on IMDb for some reason.
A colon? Yeah, the a colon there from the baby would have actually been better, not a semicolon. But yeah, dude, you need to clean up your. First, you need to decide on a tense. Then you need to stay consistent with that tense while you're inside of it. I would recommend having tense guidelines up on the side. In fact, let me English tense guidelines. Have this up with you at all times and stay consistent. All right, like have this just a reference up at all times while you're writing, and stay consistent. Practice tense. In fact, that might be. Now I feel like that's a little too esoteric for a writing practice, but really like you have all sorts of issues going on throughout here before we can even get to the substance of what's at hand. So I recommend going back to the drawing board, getting some practice in, making sure your tenses are all straight, and making sure your grammar's good. All right, the occasional grammar slip up, the occasional spelling mistake, that's fine, but you're so consistently we can't focus on much else. And I understand that's pretty harsh, but if you want to grow as a writer, you're gonna have to take your licks. All right, so I'm doing this out of love, man. You got to improve. Okay, so moving on. Next, I believe, is Moopa. Writing capture. Okay. Doc capture. There we go. Twitter image can close up. All right, here we go. Do you want to read Moopa's? Like, I can read the start and end, and you can read Moopa and Frontier.
Just taking care of something real quick. Let me open it up.
Still better than Rise of Skywalker. Huh. Probably still better than The Last Jedi. Someone messaged me.
Who said I love you, Mollie, and why?
The Kid Vitz, that's who. I struggled for a whole week with no inspiration or ideas, saw the Ruby music stream, got the idea for a band AU, and then banged out a 1,200 words in a single night. Then spent the rest of the weekend editing out 400
Nice
words.
work, dude.
Yeah, no, I just adore creative sprees. I was working on my Wonder Woman script last night, and I just hit this stride where I banged out 3 pages. Just 3 solid pages. It was so good. But then I also realized that I'm going to wind up with like a 20-page script, so I'm not looking forward to that.
And one of my friends, I got a bit distracted. One of my friends asked me about this new hit anime called Redo on Healer. It's horrible, and if you like it, I instantly think bottom of you, like rock bottom of you as a person.
Weirdly, what do you think of The Last House on the Left?
I don't know what that is.
It's a horror film from like the 1970s, I want to say.
I've never seen it.
Okay.
But anyway,
I'm curious because I've heard comparisons.
I love you too, Reticence. Anyway, I was looking at the My Anime List threads for that show, and there was one thread that was like, all these SJWs getting triggered by my horrific revenge fantasy porn anime, just because it hurts women. And then someone was just like, you say that, but you're exactly the type of person who'd get offended over The Last Jedi. And then someone responded with, hey, The Last Jedi had a lot of problems that they like go on this.
Oh, I might have to check out that anime just to understand how bad it is. You know, because like, I do take a lot of people's words for things, but I've also heard now 2 conflicting reports on the thing that like, oh, it's a good revenge story, it's a bad revenge story.
It's a bad revenge story. It's bad because literally all it is, it's exactly for the type of person who watches it and watches the main character in the flashback get like tortured to a comic extent and then go, that's exactly how it felt when Julia rejected me to the dance in 9th grade, and then has fantasies of
that's a meta reason things. Though that's not actually storytelling wise.
That's exactly like remember what I say about showing your hand?
Yes.
Remember what I say about showing your hand? Things that show their hand, that counts as storytelling to an extent. It apparently, I mean, I've never seen it, but based on what people have said, it's a lot of like, it's not a good revenge story because it's, first of all, crazy extreme. Secondly, nobody's developed. Thirdly, it's all in like 30-second flashbacks. It's very clearly has a specific purpose to its story.
Interesting. I might have to check it out. Don't really watch those kinds of things typically. But not I've heard too, because I've heard people talking about it and really liking it. So I'm like, I don't know.
Like it's literally abused and neglected male reader, the anime. Because whenever there is an abused and neglected male reader story, it's always the same that he gets like the things he go through is like
he's like in prison at some point. Isn't
funny.
He?
It's like funny. It's like funny how extreme it is. It's like everybody hates him for just no reason. That's what that genre is. It's everybody hates him for no reason, just like how society treats me, and then he gets revenge.
Sounds as much like a cheap revenge power fantasy as Shield Hero did. Maybe.
It is, but more incel.
Shield Hero did revenge better than redo of Healer. To be honest, it's rather boring to me. Yeah, that was the thing that got me from Floof. It's like, oh, it's boring. I'm like, oh, okay, that's the real killer. Like, if it was bad and interesting, I'd be in for it. You've seen Rock and Rule. It's basically ripping off a scene from that. I'm avoiding it like the plague. That's Mel. I love the other side. The other video you guys did criticizing the music from Ruby. Oh, that's me. I love the other video. Yeah, this is the guy that said he loved you because it's because of the video we did criticizing Ruby music.
Oh, thank you. I've been doing that for far too long.
She's taken. Her girlfriend's in chat. Or no, is she in chat?
She isn't. She's at work right now.
Oh no.
Yeah. She's she's always in chat in spirit though.
Is it? And then everyone clapped the anime? No, that's the other side of the spectrum. Anyway, do you want to remove us fic now? Now that we've discussed redo of Healer.
Girlfriend at work post sad frogs. Frogs. Yeah, anyway, I just wanted to get that off my chest.
Okay. Well, the fic.
It's like if you made the most recent Joker movie into a very exaggerated porno.
That's very specific. Wait,
Anyway,
don't they already have a Joker porno?
I don't know. Do they? Do they?
They probably do. They probably have several, in fact. They're probably working on the 3 sequels right now. That's how that industry works.
Let's move the story.
Okay, go for it. You're up. Unless, do you want me to read this, or do you want to read the last 2?
I'll read the last 2.
Okay, so you get to read Frontier's coffee shop at you. That's gonna be fun.
Send me frogs though. Send me frogs so I can send them to Sarah when she gets back.
The girls stood backstage while another band played. Ruby fingered her guitar, mumbling lyrics, knee bouncing out of rhythm. Yang stood over Blake's shoulder, backseating dialogue options in the visual novel she was playing. Weiss sighed and adjusted the strap of her guitar. Over the sounds of the performance.
Ooh, guitar.
Over the sounds of the performance was the crashing of bowling balls and pins. We couldn't have picked a better venue for our first gig, Weiss asked. I tried to get a hookup through Junior, Yang said, but he doesn't want a bunch of kids in his club. At least this place is doing open mic. I just wish the acoustics were better. It's not the place that matters, Ruby said, standing. It's the music. These people may have come to bowl and stuff themselves with pizza, but now they'll be jamming too. She beamed, bang sticking to her forehead. Right. Ruby and the Roses. Ruby and the Roses, you're up, a stagehand said, leaning down the stairs as the curtain fell and the other band exited. Let's do this, Yang said, punching her hand before grabbing her drum set. Blake carried her bass and followed. Taking a swig from an energy drink, Ruby shook herself. Weiss inhaled deeply. So, Ruby, I was thinking, Weiss began as the 4 girls set up. Are you sure about performing Red Like Roses Part 2?
I guess you would need a guitar for that. It has a synth in it.
Yeah, it's a showstopper. Her hand slipped while adjusting the mic stand, the pole falling over. Yeah, it's good, great even, but I'm just not so sure it's the one we should do for tonight. What else should we sing? She toyed with the wire on her guitar. Well, we could do my song, the new one.
Wait, there's no wires on a guitar.
There's not? Well, maybe it's the amp.
Oh, with the amp wire, okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking like the strings.
You got wireless amps like freaking
Wireless guitar.
They have wireless amps, yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry, Mupa. I was thinking about the wrong wire.
Whenever I think of wireless like guitars and such, I think of Spinal Tap. Have you ever seen Spinal Tap?
That's a God tier film.
That is that. They start picking up military transmissions in the middle. Freaking hell! Oh yes, second drummer he choked on vomit. Wasn't his own vomit. At least we're not sure. Can't fingerprint for those things. Their drummer spontaneously exploded. Oh. Sorry, I just didn't get him. It's just the guy that...
Come on, let's read the fanfic.
I'm sorry! Spinal Tap is a funny movie! Sorry, but I don't think that one will quite sell our image. It's all, like, operatic. But that's why it'd be good to do. It'll help us stand out. No offense, but it's basically Daddy Issues the song. Not great for a bowling alley. Why is his hand found her hip? And Red isn't Mommy Issues the song? Guys, let's not fight seconds before the curtain rises, Yang said, testing her pedal. I just think it'd be better to let someone like me, who's done recitals since childhood, take point. I practice just as much as you, Ruby said. Yes, in the studio, with us for an audience. The studio, which, by the way, I rented, just like how I paid for our instruments.
I'm really glad that Mupa brought back Bitchweiss. Like, I kind of miss Bitchweiss from season 1.
Yeah.
Not because I liked her, but because that was back when Weiss had something to her character.
Well, yeah, like having someone who's a bit bitchy is kind of adds a little bit of texture. It's fine.
Some flavor.
Cool, Blake said. Ruby's our leader. She picked Red too, so that's what we're doing. We can do this. We can do this life some other time. The curtain rose, light stunning. Weiss squinted as the three or four people paying attention. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ruby. I'm Ruby, and these are the roses. We're gonna rock y'all with Red Like Roses too. So, listen up and enjoy. Ruby nodded to the others, counting down the start. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Insert song.
Should I get my guitar?
Yeah.
I could go out and just get it right now.
Weiss winced when Ruby
already stretch my legs anyway. I'll be right back.
Weiss winced when Ruby already hit a flat note. Her fingers fumbled a chord and then struggled to find their place again. Weiss's mic was waiting for her to provide backup vocals and duet. The first chorus was coming soon. The song would pause for a moment, then Ruby would continue singing. Weiss's eyes squeezed shut. It was fine. Ruby would probably relax when she reached the chorus.
So I went to go get my guitar, and then on the way out, I remembered that I don't actually know the chords to Red Like Roses Part 2. I used to.
Wait, don't you know the chords for every single Ruby song?
Oh, that's right. You know, it might be E, C, A minor, F. That you in it. I love the joy enough for all my life. Was stripped away from me the minute that you died. Have you in my life was all I ever wanted. Now without you, I'm myself forever honest. You ever feel that I ain't taking you for granted? Mollie G. So
God damn it, Jeff! Learn some new chords!
Shift away from me the minute that's My favorite lyric in Red Like Roses Part 2 is now I'm trapped inside a nightmare every single effing day. I love that they censored it. It has very strong I'm angry energy.
Well, you know, it has very strong, like, it's a very good character song, because it's like, it is Ruby singing. She's too pure to say the effing word. Like, she is, you know that chart? She is legally not allowed to say the F word.
Stop acting like Ruby has a personality.
Okay, Volume 1 Ruby. possibly
fine.
had a personality. Okay, so where was I? Weiss grabbed the mic. Her voice took over, filling the speakers as the others stuttered and stopped. More than a few heads turned as the siren called. Yang and Blake barely recovered in time, switching to the new song. Then she transferred over to her song. Okay, yeah, okay.
How do you sing "This Life Is Mine" with 4 people?
How many people do you just need? One, right?
There's like violins in that song.
Oh. Guitar?
That's gonna be hell of a guitar playing. You'd need like 3 keyboards for that.
Ruby's guitar hung limp. The song was weaker for it, but Weiss couldn't blame her for not playing, for the face that she was making. Weiss focused on the lyrics as she worked the guitar. Yang and Blake started shrugging apologetically at Ruby, who glanced towards the exit. Weiss gathered her breath, preparing to throw her lungs into it, when a second voice joined her. Weiss looked over and Ruby smiled. And they kept on singing. Weiss bobbed her head with Ruby as she began to shred. Yang crashed her sticks in the drums, and even Blake moved with her strumming. They were breathless when they finished. More than half the bowling alley was clapping. "Sorry for hijacking your song," Weiss said under the applause. "Yeah, well, I'm not happy about it," Ruby admitted, then shrugged. "But at least they are." Okay. That was solid.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. You brought back Angry Weiss, or Petty Weiss, I guess. And
yeah, I like that she's using the actual original characterization of the characters instead of just... what a lot of AUs do is that they just move them to the proper archetypes.
Yeah. Like, Weiss becomes like what, a straight-up tsundere? Is that what they usually do? What would you say the proper archetypes are for them?
I don't know, but there's like rocker archetypes, I guess, that they would use in a fanfic like this.
Yeah, you're right about that. I've read a couple, not rock band necessarily, but like they do kind of just fit the mold of those AUs, where more the AU molds the character, which, I mean, that's kind of better than what we get in the actual show, which doesn't mold them at all. But and I like the dynamic between Ruby and Weiss, where Ruby just kind of like immediately picks up with Weiss. Like, they actually have a dynamic where it's not like Ruby gets super petty and childish over it. She actually plays into it.
Yeah, it's nice. It's so funny. Like, the barrier for Ruby fanfics is I like that Ruby has a personality in this one.
All right. You're up. With William Wismer. William Wismer. William Wismer's Coffee Shop AU2.
Sorry, I just always think about the Pokemon.
I think that's why I said Whimser in first. I'm like, wait, what? I feel like the conflict generated by a song being hijacked by another band member and changed to another one mid-performance. Yeah, I like that idea too.
Yeah, it was good.
I wonder, like, how many times do you think that actually happens with bands?
The Grateful Dead.
Really?
Yeah, the Grateful Dead. I mean, my mom went to like every Grateful Dead concert, I guess. I don't know, but she said like what they would do is they would have like, I just realized I should turn on the light in my room. But anyway, so they would have like one of them starts playing one song on guitar, and then the other starts playing a different song.
That'd be much rarer. Wait, what? Reading fanfiction or writing it? Martian Ant Farm? So, I'm waiting on you to read.
Right. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. A wave of pleasant smells washed over Weiss as she entered Beacon Cafe. A mingled scent of fresh pastries, brewing coffee, warm milk, and something else. She is rich, or something rich and sharp. I said she is rich and sharp. I'm like, she is. something rich and sharp, a spice Weiss could swear she recognized but couldn't quite pin it down. It was nice, whatever it was. Afternoon, Miss Schnee. There should be a comma there. One of your rare grammatical mistakes.
You screwed it up. It's terrible. You're over, William.
Weiss turned towards the deep voice, finding great tufts of Ospin's hair bobbing back and forth behind the counter. How he'd known it was her, Weiss did not know, but she had learned to expect such things from the old man. Good afternoon, sir, she replied politely. Bit early, aren't you? You're not scheduled until 1. Oh, well, I didn't have class this morning. I guess she's like, I didn't have class this morning, so I decided to come in early. Nicer to read here than in my room. Uh-huh, the man said, rising to view from behind the counter. Weiss felt her stomach drop as she spotted the smile already painted across his face. Corners twisted with mischief. And is that the only reason? Weiss was very tempted to turn around and leave. That or snap at the old man to mind his own business. Perhaps both. Any of the three seemed like perfectly acceptable ideas. Yes, Weiss said a little too loudly. What other reason would there be? Shame, Oz shrugged. That smile never once wavering. Have to find someone else to drink this lovely tea, I suppose. Weiss's eyes darted from the man to the covered heater built into the counter. A single drink lay within, a steaming paper cup with her name written across the front in large block letters. Refusing to give the old man the satisfaction of an excuse, Weiss crossed the floor and slid open the cabinet. The unidentified scent she detected earlier instantly became stronger, and she finally recognized what it was. Mistralian silver tea, the real stuff, not the imitation crap they sold here in Vale, her favorite. As she picked it up, Weiss realized there was more written on the opposite side of the label. A large block of text written in messy handwriting that looked only a little childish. It almost made Weiss smile, but Oz's insufferable smirk convinced her to keep it to herself. Instead, she muttered a curt thank you and turned towards an empty table. Enjoy your reading, Oz chuckled, having at least the basic courtesy to leave it at that. Blowing out a breath, Weiss settled into her chair. Why did she like working here again? The question didn't linger long in her mind as she turned her attention to reading the message on the label. Weiss, Mr. Oz says you like Mistralian silver. My dad got me some and I've been working on my steeping, so happy coincidence, I guess. Hope you like it and have a great day. Ruby. Weiss read the words over 3 times, quickly running out of excuses for the blush creeping up her cheeks on each pass. Eventually, she elected to just not think about it, and it took a long sip. It tasted even better than she remembered. The end.
Aww. I love how they're focusing on the best dynamic in the show.
The only dynamic, the best dynamic in the show was the 3 episodes in Volume 7 of Penny and Winter.
Fair. I don't know about Osmond saying "uh-huh." Seems kind of overly casual for him. I mean, he's not trying to be like the well, I don't know. Maybe his coffee shop AU has a weird supernatural element to it, but he's not trying to be like the super sneaky guy in this. So he seemed like more like just a wise old guy in this circumstance. So what do you think of his coffee shop AU?
I thought that was cute. He makes it cute, but he makes it work. To be completely honest, would I read more of this? Probably not. But I would trust him to make it interesting.
Okay. All right.
This is like the length of what a coffee shop AU should be. Because trying to make this into like a full 30,000 word story, that is a nightmare.
Well, a lot of what I discover with a lot of the thing that annoys me about a lot of story writers, they have like a really good first chapter idea, and then they have no idea how to continue it. We're like, here, I have this premise. I have this very clean idea of what I want to, what element of the story I want to explore. I'm going to Ruby and Weiss romantically meet at the coffee shop. All right, great. What's the rest of the story? Leaving it as a one shot is fine, because as a one shot, it's a great little just cute slice of life type deal. You can get away. But if you're trying to continue that into a longer story, if you don't have something meatier to bite behind it, it kind of
Yeah,
flounders.
that's the thing. You know what? Will probably could make something out of this where it's like, Weiss working at this job, and then Ruby sending her these little notes, and then like other little things that happen. It's still not a strong premise though, because there's no conflict
That we know of. That we know of. I
that
mean,
we
like
know of. Like,
you can
there's the
introduce
thing.
more.
You could do an AU in anything if you make it a conflict, make it work. Don't just be like they go to fucking history class and Mr. Johnson gives them a task. Like, I don't know, dude. That's what high school AUs are like. There's just nothing to them except for the basic tropes. If you're going to do that,
God, that reminds me. There's a college AU for Little Witch Academia that I read. Actually, the author took it down because people complained about it on a Discord somewhere, but they're reposting it now. That's really good because it's a poltergeist AU where one of the romantic interests is already dead and just possessing, like they're inhabiting the room they threw themselves from the window of, and it's like it's all about the one character alive trying to figure out what the hell is going on in her room. And it's a very interesting dynamic. I'm really enjoying it. So like the whole ghost thing that reminded me of that. If I tried a coffee shop a story, I'd probably end up with 100,000 words, and most of them would be pointless.
I think the reason why they end up so long is because, like, when there's no conflict, there's no end. When there's no end, you don't stop the story because you don't know what you're writing. You can't even say that the ending is like they get together, because if the conflict doesn't exist and it's just a slowly watching them get to know each other, that's not interesting, because, like, I want to see them challenged in some way. I want there to be a chance they're not going to get together. Like, yes, there might be a foregone conclusion, but I want to see the point where, like, hey, maybe this won't happen.
Yeah, like have like the whole breakup arc type deal, or the whole like having like a parental challenge where it's like, no, I won't let you date my daughter. um, those are always some good ones.
But don't make that cringe either. That's always the tough thing.
Yeah, like you can make that cringe very easy. God, the most annoying thing to me is when people write antagonists the same way they actually write Mr. Schnee in the actual show, where he's just so unabashedly evil.
He's like, and I hate gays as well.
Yes. I have the opposite problem with my stories. I can never start because I don't know how and where. Start where it gets interesting. Like my recommendation for starting a story has always been give one sentence. One sentence, it sets the entire tone. It'll give you an idea where to go. Think of what the very first sentence you want it to be is, and it will make everything fall into place. Just make
Like, here's the thing. You want to do your copy shop romance? Fine. You want to add a scene like we just read? Fine. But this cannot be everything. Like, this is, like I said, that's cute. But I'm not going to read 15 chapters of Weiss receiving different little notes from Ruby if that's literally all that fucking happens.
What if like the entire story is a in-depth treatise on the economic stability of coffee shops, and like the trade of teas and coffee grinds.
Obviously, there are people that do enjoy things like that. I personally just don't, because I'm an adult. But, like, I just think that's why so many people try it, is because it gives them just
have you
the
ever
most
watched
basic
Spice and
possible
Wolf?
romance setup, and a lot of people just eat it up.
Have you ever watched Spice and Wolf?
No.
I would recommend it. It's actually a very good economic anime. Because it's an economic and romance anime. It's a weird combo of things, but it's really good. Like it has a very nice, gentle romantic dynamic where the main characters, they have like this very nice friendship, sort of like this partnership friendship type deal before it gets even romantic, and the romance steadily builds out of this mutual respect they build for one another.
I like it
very good
when it's like, I think college AUs are fun because of what it says like the characters' majors are. It'll be like Weiss is a music major. I'm like, why?
Yeah, you're like I never realized how common that was. I just took it for granted.
It's like,
right.
yeah, she likes to sing, so I bet she's a music major. Like, yeah, I like to compose. I'm not a composition major. You know, like I like to play video games. I'm not a game design major.
What if she minors in music?
I just don't think she's that interested in music. We know she doesn't care. She doesn't like singing.
Good point. Good point.
Like,
you know, that would have been great to explore, because we actually, I don't know if we know. The only thing was we know that she doesn't like singing for her father.
Okay, here's my thing. Have we ever seen her sing to herself?
No, we haven't, but when have we ever seen her by herself?
Have we ever seen her sing to her teammates?
Why would she?
Be nice. I sing to my friends.
I mean, okay, when have we seen them actually interact as friends? I'm getting at a deeper problem here.
There's our problem.
We don't have bullet points to work from when it comes to their characters. We have bullet points to work from for the plot. That's it.
I like the Three Houses college AUs, where like in the game, you have Dorothea and she's just like, yeah, I wanted to go to this school because I wanted to do more than just be an opera singer. College AU, I'm a music major.
That is
like, good work missing the character there. Nice job. I mean, she is a theater kid. But remember, theater kids are just gamers that don't say slurs.
We saw her by herself when she was caged or training in her room. Okay, well, those are two different things because
the caged one, I could actually see her just like singing to herself to like relax.
I mean, they might be like poke her with a stick and be like, "Hey, we're trying to sleep." Can you imagine there's like a really bored guard just outside?
I don't get no sleep because of you. You don't get no sleep because of me.
Just like one really bored guard outside who's just sitting there the entire time. Weiss forgets he's there, so she starts singing, and just you see a stick come in from the side and just poke her like, "Hey, stop that! People are sleeping." All right, well, the last one on the list is Anime AK's Star Wars Ruby. All right, dude. You gotta stop giving us these long submissions. How many words is this?
I like how the title is Missed the Capital.
This is 2,000 words. Also, the title with the capital. Wait, what? Oh.
In the Google Doc name.
Is that a play on Reddit?
Let's see. Clone Wars narrator. Okay, first of all, no.
What? No, you forgot the first line.
Respect isn't given because of rank and threats. It's earned through actions. That is the most banal thing.
Here's something news, people. Respect is typically given because of rank and threats regularly. Like, anyone saying that is an idealist. And I'll tell you this. Idealism does not control the world. Alright? Like, so... Guard, do you take requests, Miss Schnee?
Miss Schnee, can you sing Wonderwall?
I was gonna say, and now here's Wonderwall.
Welcome back, Floof. How was the internship fair?
Were there any cute fluffs at the internship fair? I'm saying that my idea for Ruby AU may not be impossible to write as I thought. Yeah, that's how AUs go. You get the kind of plot seed in your head, and you're like, wait, this is growing out of control. All right, so do you want to start reading this?
Sure. Respect isn't given because of rank and threats is earned through actions. The fact that you have the script there that says Clone Wars narrator.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna ruin this for you. You can't induce a narrative voice necessarily. Like, you can say as read by so and so, you're not going to get that effect. It's not going to work the way you think, especially.
So you're not going to use the completed one? What does that mean? This isn't the completed one?
Oh, what?
It's 6 pages.
This is 2,000 words, man. Was it the other one? Was it like? Cause I got 2 links from you this week, man. Is it Ruby the Beginning?
Oh, but the guitar isn't too loud. I know I should have asked that like 30 hours ago, or 30 minutes ago, but still.
The first. Oh, okay. So I give you the wrong link then. I don't know. Why did you give me the Star Wars link then? So yeah, ignore the Star. Go to the one in the pinned comments. Pins.
That was the one in the pinned comments.
No, it wasn't. The one in the pinned comments is like Ruby the Beginning.
Oh, there we go. Man submitted the whole epic.
I mean, all the same, this still looks like. I mean, this looks even longer. What's the total word count on this? Tools. Word count. Bro, that's like 3 times the length of what we requested. We aim for
2,600 words.
Yeah, we're aiming for 75, 750. All right, that's the sweet spot you want to aim for. We'll still read parts of this.
If you want to have the full thing somewhere else, that's fine. Just send us like a little excerpt of like the thing you think is best or something.
Yeah, so don't get overhyped that we're gonna read this whole thing. I mean, you should probably be pretty used to that by now. We've done that before. But yeah, so please take it away.
All right. It was dark in the room you were in. You try to move a finger, a bone, anything to regain some form of normalcy. Okay, so he's still doing the second person. I guess he kind of found his comfort in that. What the hell? Where am I? You thought. You shouldn't have you thought there. We could tell.
Wait, no, this is one we read last week, wasn't it?
What?
Yeah, this is the one we read last time because this is the your eyes filled with light. You stood up facing towards the crib. The clipboard had only 5 things of note. You didn't read any. Yeah. Remember, like this is like the thing that possesses a baby or something like that.
I don't remember.
You don't remember that? It was like the thing that lived in like a bottle. It was like a bottle monster. It was like a creature that like some kind of liquid, I think. I remember that distinctly. You missed the bold part. She did, and it's also different. So I think this is him submitting like a cleaned up version of that. I think that's what this is.
Why don't I remember any of this? Man, I must have been really out of it.
Yeah. All right, well, let's give it a shot. So this is not exactly what we asked for, or I guess it is technically because it is still an AU, sort of.
Okay, he wants us to do the boulder part. In the war of nature versus nurture, you need a balance of both to raise a child. What's with this, like, dramatic, like, intro quote? Like, dude...
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna pull a hard stop.
You want to talk about earning respect? You need to earn a spot to do that in a story.
Yeah, like there's something about. I don't know.
Don't sound like the type of kid who quotes himself for his yearbook quote.
Unless you're like, the ones that do that comedically can work.
Yeah.
But like this is one where like you have to be very careful where you're not sounding pretentious, or else you wind up basically looking like an asshole. There was some game that was like, the nature of darkness and light is ultimately the battle between good and evil, unknown. They invented that quote. There is no unknown. They invented a quote to start their game, and it sounds pretentious as all hell, and it's terrible. Stop it with the quotes. Focus on the story. Don't try and be, ooh, I'm gonna be a mysterious storyteller. No, don't. I get that's kind of like that's. Ruby did that, and Ruby did that alarmingly well at the very beginning of its tenure. Like, I don't know how Ruby pulled it off.
What, with Thus Kindly I Scatter?
Oh no, every man is well, like things like my favorite line, which is every man is entitled to his own sorrows. Very simple, to the point.
My favorite line in all of Ruby is what do you think about that, Penny? I think it gives me personal feelings.
Just trying the Clone Wars thing, which is a quote made before the actual story started. Wasn't right. That's the thing, is like, you have to be very careful with this. You can't just slapdash those things on there. If you're trying to mimic there is something to be learned from mimicking a style, but you gotta understand what makes the style work. And this will be a learning experience. This is not what makes that style work. That quote needs to have some sort of, like, I don't know how to, this is not succinct. I don't know how to better say this. I don't know what to, other than this sounds pretentious. So, all right, let's move on. I feel like we're kind of harping on this.
Yeah. Okay. So you read the first sentence. You couldn't feel anything, as in floating in a bed of air. But then the door opened into the room you're in. The light was blind. Do you know what a comma is? I guess it's just kind of poetic at this point, but. Don't have, if you're going to do that, don't put but at the start of the sentence. Like, as if floating in a bed of air, the door opened into the room you're in. It's just, you're just listing things. Like, the light was blinding at first, but your sight adjusted to it. That's fine. With watching from within some liquid, a man who was hard to see picked up the jar that imprisoned you. This is all still very dry. Like, just a writing style,
Yeah,
but whatever.
It sounds like a lot of statement.
It's not, it has like that SVO kind of feel to it.
It's not
not
SVO
entirely
quite yet, but like
it's like one level above it.
Yeah. So hey, you're avoiding one pitfall already. That's a good sign.
The scene changed rather quickly as the footsteps echoed in your ears. The white coat that pressed against the jar was familiar, yet you couldn't quite put your finger on it. It was clear enough that you were, because this is past tense, right?
I guess.
Yeah, it's past tense.
Yeah, your is not usually used in past tense.
Possibly in some medical facility, but for what purpose you can even begin to understand.
So, slight nitpick here, but the scene changed sounds very much like a stage direction versus it being like an actual perspective change. People don't visualize things on scenes. Maybe the scenery changed. That would probably be a stronger word choice.
I'll do you one better. Ruby and Undertale crossover. Since I'm not 15 years old, we're not doing that. Ruby, Undertale, Transformers, Danganronpa, Homestuck. I swear, Undertale, Danganronpa, and Homestuck were like the mid-2010s, like, hell trio.
I guarantee you there's a crossover between all three.
There is. I really like Danganronpa because there was no reason it should have attracted, like, the worst audience ever, but it did. I'm saying that as someone who loves Danganronpa. Like, I don't know why there's so much drama among, like, teenage Danganronpies, but there is.
I don't know either. I just know I don't like that series. I have no inclination to look into it.
Seriously, it's a very, very, like, Japanese series in the sense like the story, the staging, the art style. It's very, very, very Japanese. So you'd think that would put off a lot of Western audiences, but Super Hulock. Super Hulock was early 2010s, and it was for like basic girls, not like I'm gonna dox you for shipping those two characters.
Jesus. Yeah, Super Hulock is just one of those things where like people just obsess over it and then like post Twitter,
and then they turn like 17 and they stop.
You think that? I know some people that got into their mid-20s before they started weaseling out of them.
Still, it's just different.
Anime guy, I understand the feeling. Trust me when I say you're going to feel like that a lot as a writer. You're going to feel like that a lot as a writer. Failure hurts hard, and I think you have tripped. This seems better, a little bit better than last time. You just maybe something new next week or the 2 weeks from now, I guess. Something new. Maybe follow our guidelines. Maybe actually write to our prompts. Don't try and keep focusing on the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. I dated a Super Hulocker in sophomore year of high school. Is awful. Was that the person who made you watch Orange Is the New Black, Dean?
I avoided that show like the plague.
Fun fact, at the end of that show, the main character shirks the man who patiently waited for her to get out of prison to get with the girl who got her into prison.
What?
Yes. That's what Sarah told me.
Holy crap, that's hilariously bad. Like, is that played for comedy or played straight?
No, played straight. So we are still at the point of lesbian romances and fiction. Random manga writer doing Attack on Titan. Everything else right now.
Wait, there's a Yuri romance.
And then Yap is like 8 times the size.
Wait, there's a Yuri romance in Attack on Titan?
Yeah, didn't I tell you? It's like good. The two characters like have chemistry and like don't do terrible things.
Well, now I'm interested in Attack on Titan. Thank you, Molly.
It's not until season 2, but okay.
No, I'm kidding. I mean, that's not quite enough to get me over the hump, but maybe that's definitely a strong fight in its favor. Let's see. Wait, dude had a whole arc about learning edging and got cucked. What? Okay. Let's move on from Orange. It's the new cuck. Let's go.
Hey, I'm sorry, I just remembered. I was talking with my friend, and he's just like, Noelle Stevenson uses any pronouns well. He said, cuck, cucks, cuck self.
Okay.
But yeah, there was one Yuri romance in Attack on Titan, and they actually like help the story move along, and like neither of them like abuse each other or like do terrible things that are without like the like none of them do objectively terrible things. I should put that. The story's morals are very fucked, but they never did anything like horrifically abuse someone.
All right. I'm just going to continue reading. There was a sticker or some sort of label on the jar, but you couldn't read it, as if the gods themselves had forbidden you to read its contents. It was... now you have a sudden comment.
Jarring.
It was jarring, to be sure. Yeah, again, repetition. Jar and jarring should not be in the same group like that unless you're going for...
Especially because that makes it sound like a pun.
Yeah. Everything was blurry as hell. Which I know isn't your intent. The ringing of distant phones and constant noise didn't help either. Something was off. It felt as if your heart tightened with anxiety. It was beating faster than normal as well, as if you were scared. Like how you asked Raven about being a date to the Vital Festival dance type of anxiety. But then a blue object came into view. It was probably a door, given it moved to reveal another blurry room. The man holding the jar you were in popped the cork at the top and poured the liquid, and you, into something. Darkness came again, but the unbearable noise of a motor came after. You felt air suck you into a thin, clear tube. The light blinded you before quickly going into another hole encased in darkness. Then there was silence, if not for a moment. If only for a moment, not if not for a moment, if only for a moment. The cries of a child soon came to pass, and hushed whispers were around you, taunting you even. No, not you, but at the child, as if your tender soul could translate the incoherent message that your ears couldn't help. I am congested in one nostril, and this really making this annoying to read. Your eyes filled with light, but tears ran down your cheeks. You stood upright, facing towards the crib. The clipboard only had 5 things of note. What clipboard?
Jar AU.
So you might be like, nearby a clipboard had only 5 things of note, that kind of thing. You didn't read any more, not that you could anyway. Who could be so cruel as... Okay, here's a question. If you can't read, then why did they read that? Like, that's the thing. This is all colored in their perspective, and that's why I think it's a little bit dry. You gotta like early on, you gotta color it with more of their perspective, especially if they're fresh and curious about the world, like they're new. Or if they're not new, then like they should have a previous thing. So things appear that you could do where you like add character, like yet you couldn't feel anything. Why couldn't you feel anything? What or like yet you couldn't feel anything. This didn't seem as bothersome as you thought it might be. It felt like you were floating on a bed of air. But then the door you can color it. You can change it with different perspective stuff. But then if this thing can't read, then how is it reading this? It's kind of a plot hole from the prose, if you might say. Who could be so cruel as to not even give their child a name? Rage started to boil in your stomach. The child's birth parents were covered in some pen remover. The parents' names were covered in some pen remover like whiteout. Damn it, calm yourself, Ty. Don't get agitated too quickly. Think. But you only stared to the crib. You could see the child's face, but he cried. He did so for so long, yet the staff didn't dare to see if he was all right. What the hell is wrong with these people? You thought aloud. Okay, see, this is where like you don't need to have dialogue informing your character. You can just have it baked into the prose, where you could have him like, "What the hell is wrong with these people?" You don't need to add your thoughts aloud. You thought aloud. You just. I mean, I guess he is technically saying it if you thought it aloud. Actually, I think Mupa has a good prompt.
Villains. Yeah. By the way, what's supposed to be the premise of what we're reading right now?
I don't know.
So we can make Salem a good character. If any of you make a Ruby villain good, I'm gonna lose it.
I feel like the easiest to do would probably be Emerald. Emerald has a lot going on for her, and she hasn't been completely contradicted.
Emerald is so funny. She's like, they're like hinting at her character for like 30 seconds a season, but like for 5 years.
That poor actress.
People are just like, oh my gosh, the foreshadowing. Like,
no.
Okay, so there's foreshadowing. Like, maybe like you see it once or something like that, or like she's a major villain and we see that, but she gets like 30 seconds of screen time a season, so it's like ultra obvious it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, and we are getting impatient after a while.
Because she hasn't really... What evil things has she done herself?
Exactly.
Like, she's helped evil people do things, but she hasn't really... Like, and she's fought the main heroes. But that's about it.
She robbed like a jewelry store when she was like homeless.
I thought she stole
you can't
bread.
really... What?
I thought she stole
No,
bread.
she stole like an engagement ring.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But even then, you can't see like You can't really say that's totally evil. Like, obviously, she's desperate.
Yeah, that's. I mean, like, there are actually laws for like crimes of desperation. I mean, now it applies mostly like when you're like stranded out on a boat and you have to eat someone to survive. The law is not going to be like, well, you should have learned how to fish. No, the law is going to be like, you literally had no other food source and you killed the man to survive. Like, the law is going to be like, we can't really hurt. There's some famous law stuff about that. Not to bring up cannibalism because, you know.
But still, like, Emerald's greatest crime is being a simp for the worst character. That's the thing about Emerald, is that it's like, yeah, she's gonna turn good, but like we haven't seen her be bad. Like literally from volume 3, she was like
Conflicted.
she murdered the bookseller. Okay, yeah, I forgot about volume 2.
I mean, how do we know that it wasn't Mercury that got the final kill?
That's true.
Because Mercury was the trained assassin. And also,
But like even
they're
then,
playing
it's
up
not
that
like we see any hints in volume 2.
they're playing up that Cinder is going to turn, and that's what's really worrying me.
Yeah, Emerald is just, if she should have turned, she should have turned in like volume 4. Is what I'm trying to say.
So,
All right, guys, you're right. Emerald has done bad things. I keep forgetting about volume 2 and 3.
your anger started to boil in your gut again. Your eyes looked down to see the baby's eyelids open, silver as the moon, like Summer's and Ruby's. The baby calmed down when its orbs of innocence looked at you. As if out of the fatherly instinct, your hand rose. Your fingers clasped into a fist with your thumb on your side, and yet your pinky finger stayed out. The child smiled and giggled as best it could. There were scars from some chemical along the arm's soft skin. Arm apostrophe S. Its clubbed lip. It has no apostrophe because it's possessive. It is one of those really weird words when it comes to possession. It's just. Its clubbed lip preventing the smile from being cute like a normal babe. Now the laughing child used a hand to grab your finger. For such a fragile thing, its grip was strong. But everything went black, leaving you in a space. You couldn't help but cry. Being a father yourself, you couldn't understand how these people just didn't even care about the child you saw. You wondered who this child was. Is it Summer's father? No, he died trying to stop his son, Adam Taurus, from... You'd rather not think about it. Not to mention, his gear was in the attic, neatly tucked away for when Yang was of age. Your eyes opened only to find the ceiling of the cabin greeting you in silence. It was lonely in the room, given that Summer was away. Ruby was tightly snuggled in the blanket with her within the crib. It couldn't have been Ruby. She wasn't born with a cleft lip, and sure as hell wasn't a boy. Nor did she have any scar tissue from chemical burns. Then who was that child with no name? The next morning. Okay, we're gonna stop there. First,
What the fuck is happening?
I don't know. I'm completely lost on what the hell is happening. I feel like I understood more of what was happening the last time you wrote it. Now, also, like, you don't need to write the next morning. Just add that into the prose after the break. Like, you're not given stage directions here.
Guys, I swear I'll turn good. Just give me time. That's what I'm trying to say, though. Like, Emerald has this arc, right? But like, she doesn't deserve like 6 years of character development. You know, like that's what you should be giving to Weiss or to Blake. You know, not like. Or how about to Cinder? Like, have Cinder like maybe with Emerald question things and like.
Yeah. Okay. So, my advice to you, Anime AK, stop trying to be so esoteric with your writing. I get it. You want to be mysterious and cool and all that such. You're overplaying your hand trying to be.
We get it. You played Metal Gear.
Okay, that's an insult to Metal Gear because Metal Gear literally just has like blocks of dialogue talking at you about things. And I
That's
still
what I
love
mean.
Metal Gear. Like, this isn't... No, Metal Gear is not esoteric like this. Metal Gear is like, the corporations are running everything. You need to overthrow them. They tell you upright what's going on very often. And, like, if they're not sure, it's like, there's something strange going on. You should go check it out. And then you get there and you're like, oh, so this is going on. That's Metal Gear. That's how Metal Gear works.
The point I'm trying to make, though, is that it sounds like it's trying to be very pretentious and esoteric, and it's like the mysterious labs in the military, and it's just like, you need to start smaller.
It sounds like you're writing Edgy the Hedgy.
Edgy the Hedgy. All right, I used the wrong metaphor. Look, I haven't been having good weeks. I'm losing my charm a little.
Yeah,
so
but
just...
no, basically, this sounds like the start of a Sonic fan fiction about, Shadow's creation. That's what I'm saying. Shadow, Edgy the Hedgy. And it's just, it's... Start small. Start small. All right? Talk... A character having a good day. I'm gonna... Anime AK, you have 2 weeks to work on this. This is you in specific, Anime AK. Write characters out on a picnic having a good day. That's my challenge to you.
Like...
just a pleasant afternoon, 750 words or less, characters out on a picnic on a nice spring or summer day, enjoying themselves. That's my challenge to you. Get on it.
As for the rest of you, villain stuff sounds fun. We love villains. I think it really is worth talking about villains in RWBY, because they never really seem to know how to assort the time and the development to villains. Like we're saying, Emerald is this minor character, and she gets like all this like big buildup. Cinder has been the same. She has been stagnant since volume 3.
And she gets the bulk sum of villain screen time.
Yeah, and like the only change she made was being injured and then being able to talk again.
And then getting clothes.
And then getting what?
Clothes. That's the other change.
and then getting her ass handed to her over and over and over again.
Yeah, guys, I think I'll open my DMs. I'll open my DMs to people who...
Cinder feels like a Saturday morning cartoon villain, but like she's not in a Saturday morning cartoon, which is the issue.
Yeah, that's... It's really weird with Cinder, because only now they're really giving her any kind of backstory to work from. But the question is, so we have villains as like the overall prompt. What should be the more specific stuff that we want to go for?
I don't know. I just love stuff from a villain's perspective. I've seen some crazy fanfics from villains' perspectives. I have seen a fanfic about somebody grooming somebody else, but it's from the groomer's perspective, and it's like the desperate justification. That was fascinating. That was unbelievable to read.
Was
like
that
is. It was that
Stars
Fire
thing? Oh, it's Fire Emblem. Okay.
It was a Fire Emblem one. That is like crazy to read. Stars thing too. I love seeing this like these just dark mindsets, and it's not just I'm evil and I'm doing this. It's like this is right to me. That is what is fascinating about villains.
See, main prompt is villains. Let's see. I can't spell picnic. There we go. All right. So let's think, because I don't want to focus just on RWBY villains. I want to focus on...
Yeah, no. I want to see like Star's villain. I want to see like her Pixie. I want to see something from her perspective. For Star, that's what I want from you specifically.
All right, I want to see villains that aren't the big bad, in specific. Like I don't want Salem. I don't want the Emperor from Star Wars. I want the Darth Vader type, the second in command, or like one of the minion mooks. One of those kinds of villains, because I always find they're a little more interesting. And I mean, even then, you can still characterize the big bad of a piece. So like you can still do that by way of this minor villain. Like, but minor villains. That's the prompt. Minor villain prompt for next week, for 2 weeks from now. Next week, I believe next week is our writing week. So what should we write next week?
I don't know. It sounded like people were interested in like another music stream last week. If we could do like trying to write a song in 2 hours. It's a tall task, but I could do it.
Okay, and I'll put that down as our writing prompt for this coming week. Writing prompt. Write a song. All right, guys. What type of song should we write? You want a Vegeta, not a Frieza. Yes, I want a Vegeta, not a Frieza. Vegeta in the first arc, not when he becomes an anti-hero. I'm just gonna see someone write about Best Boy Tyrion. So prompt: villains when they aren't dealing with the heroes. Yes, they're not dealing with the heroes. That's a very, very big clarification. Minor villains not dealing with the heroes; they're dealing with someone else.
For Ruby's sea shanty, I know sea shanties are in these days. I've been big on sea shanties for a long time now. It's kind of interesting to see them like reach meme status.
Yeah, anime. I don't know. I'm dead inside. Well, that's my challenge to you, Anime AK, dude. You gotta break out this try hard, dark, edgy mold. You've worked yourself into a corner.
Anime AK, I'll tell you what I tell everybody I know who acts like this. Your pain is not special. Get over yourself and write something happy for once in your life.
Oof. I mean, I wouldn't have put it so harshly, but yes, she's right.
I don't know how old you are, but if I'm going by the rest of our fan base, I assume that you're, still a young adult. Like a lot of young adults have this. I've gone through this where it feels like what you're going through is so in particular and so like specific. And yeah, it's okay to feel upset about things, but to start going like I'm dead inside because it's so bad for me is like.
Parody power metal unicorn invasion of Dundee. That's very specific. Damn, I had a really good Salem idea too. Sorry, JJ. How many words next week? Always 750 is our aim. That's what we're aiming for usually.
Are we writing song? We're writing songs about anything you guys want. Any Ruby song. I don't know.
I like the idea of it being a sea shanty. Yeah. 750 is the rough max. We do bend the rules occasionally, but basically it has to be readable on stream.
Sorry for being so harsh, by the way. I'm going through a lot, and to see people just be like, I'm dead, even as a joke, it's just like, stop. Listen to German music and embrace the hype. I do listen to German music. I listened to that weird scene that you guys have of Germans doing like Celtic music, like that one girl who thinks she's a Lord of the Rings character. It's great stuff.
Kosaken, hey, heb die Gläser. Natascha, ha, du bist schon. Du warst, hey, auf das Leben. Auf dem Hey, Bruder, wo? Hey.
If you want to write about a story about real life villains, Onision lost all monetization.
Wirf die Gläser an die Wand, Russland ist ein schönes Land. Oh. Hey, Moskau, deine Seele ist so groß, nachts da ist der Teufel los. Hey, Moskau. Sorry, I love that song. It's one of the few things I can actually sing in German.
I also discovered like 1300s German Minnesinger, so.
I mean, I'm still kind of stuck on the sea shanty, even though I can't pronounce the damn thing.
I don't know if I've writing a sea shanty would be quick. But like,
well, I mean, as an experiment for like writing songs on stream, I feel like it's probably a safe bet.
How about a song and I can have orchestra yet rock at the same time? That is not
orchestral
an unusual thing.
That is called orchestral rock. It is a thing.
Yeah. Why does Ruby attract the fan base it does? That's an interesting question. I have a lot of theories on that. I think that it has it's so bland that anybody could project themselves on this. Anybody over a certain maturity level won't, because they recognize they're just boring and they don't project themselves on fictional characters anymore. But those of them are the people who are young enough and like unstable enough really like it because they can pretend they are Yang or Blake or whatever, and therefore they will project their very being onto the show. And that's why if you cross RWBY fans on Twitter, they will act like you are the biggest bigot in history, because to them this is the most important thing in the world because it's them, and to everyone the self is the most important thing. Like even subconsciously, you're living within yourself. You're being yourself. You live
to injure the show is to injure them. That is how they take
to injure shows, injure them, and that's why they get so reactive and so defensive.
What are the?
It's kind of like the shows you will see people defend the most in terms of anime are ones that are like very self-inserty. So Fate, SAO, people who genuinely like these things will get very angry if you insult them.
Yes. Now consider, what are the most commonly written fan fiction types for RWBY?
Well, there's two answers to that. It really depends. There's a male portion of the fan base and a female portion of the fan base.
Okay, I'm interested. That's an interesting dynamic. Tell me.
So there's the kind of, remember, the most common, like the most popular RWBY fanfics are like John X Harem. John is a very below mediocre dude. He's fucked up in everything, and he's awkward, and he's not special. But a super hot girl likes him, who's super good at everything, because he's just such a nice guy. Everybody, he's a nice guy. So of course, this is where the abused and neglected male reader comes in. John's pain is like your pain as a awkward young man who has never considered bettering himself and wants to be in John's shoes. Then you have the Bumblebee. I'm not going to call it the male female. That's unfair. The John and Bumblebee portion of the fan base, like Sarah says. Bumblebee is more this kind of like, I am the show. It's both projection, but different types of projection. So I am the show is like, Blake and Yang is what I want for me. Not as a fantasy, but as a realistic life goal. Having a single partner that you marry is a very common thing people do. So it's up to them to live this kind of obtainable fantasy. And because it's obtainable, as opposed to just kind of being this like projection thing, I think they're more strongly
But that's
attached.
because no one likes Adam. No one likes Adam. Sorry.
Like it's very interesting. I don't know. Like,
okay, so the ones that I noticed is
trying to break down the Bumblebee fans is super fascinating from a psychological perspective, because they've been like this for years. I remember back in 2015 they acted the same. It was all like, you know, if you don't like this, you're a racist and a homophobe. You know, it's like the thing I always say: Blake threw the first brick at Stonewall. Like, you know, it's all about I need this to be me. But I think a lot of them, the kind of social justice aspect comes from maybe themselves. Like they you know, a lot of people who are very obsessed with social justice, it's a projection. It's still also a projection of the self, as thinking about yourself as a hero, and you know, you have to be helping the world, but they can't actually help the world because they don't do shit. So like, their way of helping becomes their projection. You're stacking projections on top of one another. So shipping Bumblebee is not only what you want, it's what I want will save the world. And when you combine those two things together, you get some very volatile and morally intense people who you know, you see the same thing with K-pop fans and with Danganronpa fans. It's true, they don't actually care about social justice. They care about themselves and why they are better than you. You know, these are the types of people who, it's not that they were bullied in high school. They are bullies. They want to be better than other people by putting everybody else down. You know, that's why they'll dox people and harass people until they leave. They threaten them. That is what bullies do. If they have no friends in high school, it's on them. You know, I'm never going to pretend that I had no friends in high school because people were mean. It's because I was very, like, unlikable. And that's just how it is, you know? Like, I think the victimhood aspect is also a thing that, like, people not liking their ship it feeds into that victim complex. So they need to show how much of the victim they're saying, like, and you're being racist against little old me, instead of just being like, oh yeah, you don't like my shit. Um, Victim complexes are big,
It is hilarious how well you can just go off into an entire rant on the cusp and hit so many high notes. It's great.
Like I've discussed this with Star before. Star told me these people, if the biggest problem in your life is people not liking Bumblebee, you have never experienced bigotry. Real bigotry.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that.
Like, I think that's what it is. We are currently in a kind of social media system in a lot of circles, especially among young people, where there is a hierarchy of being a victim. That the people with the loudest voices are the ones that have the most labels attached to them that can make them that. So that's how we get like straight, upper middle class kids, especially girls, and they're like, actually, I'm a queer, non-binary, androphilic, and they just look like straight girls. Like
that's why I always identify as a masculine presenting transgender lesbian. You think that's going on my tax forms? I'm telling you that now. Like the minute that I can, I'm doing that.
I'm just trying to break this down, and I think we're really hitting something because I think there is this like mix of victim complex and bullying that they just are trying to both lose and gain power at the same time. It's so fascinating. On one hand, they are the biggest victims, but on the other hand, they also need to be on the top of the stack. And they are doing so through victimhood. But they aren't actually victims. They come from comfortable households. Maybe they have anxiety or depression, like a lot of teenagers do.
Mostly because of social media, honestly.
But the reality is they live very comfortable lives. They've never had to deal with real homophobia, real fear, real racism. It's
the worst thing that's happened to them is they were called the F word once by some kid who was yelling it because they're part of a rival sports team. Like that is the worst that they have ever suffered. They have not actually suffered genuine discrimination because of that. They've been called a bad name, and instead of absorbing that and just rolling with it and just being like, yeah, so instead of just shrugging it off and taking all power away from it, they feed into it.
It really is like Star saying, she's like, I understand what it's like. Saying I don't like Bumblebee because it's badly written isn't bigotry. It's just like how, saying that the White Fang was poorly written isn't bigotry. Saying that Ilya
new
was
prompt
bad,
idea. The low-ranking villain has a victim complex.
What?
New prompt idea. The low-ranking villain has a victim complex.
I think there's also this like Mufa saying this like protagonistism to it, where they need to be the heroes in their story, and not just regular members of a community of a whole. It's so funny. These people talk a lot about anarcho-communism, and we all work together as one of a big community, but they're not. They are so uncohesive to communal thinking. It's unbelievable. It's all about them and what it means to them and how they can be the best and how they can be the protagonist and the hero. They don't care about being part of a smaller good.
That's where it gets me, that like these people, they're so obsessed with making themselves the protagonist of their life. They don't realize that they already are the protagonist of their life. And that just is part of existence. Like, they are trying very hard to play into that idea. Like, they don't understand what a protagonist is. Like, they think that a protagonist is automatically the hero.
Yeah. So attacking the things that they really identify with is like attacking them as a hero, and you're the villain now, and villains are A, B, and C in their mind, so now you are A, B, and C, and, A equals racism, B equals homophobic.
Here's a question. Who's the protagonist of Joker? It's the Joker. Who's the villain of Joker? It's the Joker. Joker is the villain of his own film, but he's the protagonist. And people don't understand that dichotomy, that by doing something, even though you remain the protagonist in your own mind, you could still be playing the villain to everyone else. Now, I do that intentionally. I'm the villain of so many other people's stories just because I feel like it, and fuck those people. But no, I'm kidding. I don't actively go out of my way to antagonize people, but these people they have a disconnect. Now, it's weird how this all spun out. I wasn't going anywhere near this stuff. I was being like, okay, well, the big stuff is like you have the harem shippers, you have the regular shippers, and then you have the self-insert OCs. You have a lot of those running around where you have a lot of people running around with their own original characters. Now, on the good end of this, you have people like Star, who's doing some great work with her fanfic, which I still need to read in earnest. But like that's you have like people that are doing stuff like that because they see potential in the show and they're filling it out, kind of like what I do with my fixing. But then you have people who are just like, oh, I want to be in this world and do these cool things and be cool. That's a lot of what people want to be. It's a lot about aggrandizing themselves. I think it all comes back to that.
I also think it's kind of the incel mindset. The incel mindset that the world owes me something. Like that, I was unfairly treated and the world owes me everything. And, it's you see it a lot in, at my school, like on Discord, some kids started this club that was started by this like compulsive liar, right? He's not a good person in my opinion. And he called it Conscious Conversations with the express purpose of making people agree with him. And this kid came in the server. He's a freshman. He's a Mexican immigrant. So you're thinking, okay, this kid, he's a person of color. He's an immigrant. He's probably newish to the country. He has the victim labels, right, that they see as good.
He has the high ground, so to speak.
The high ground, compared to all these like upper middle class white kids. And then he's like, I really like it here. I love it here. I know things are bad, now, but there's nowhere I'd rather be. And then they're just all these kids that grew up in beautiful suburbs of New York, Massachusetts, and Connecticut going, no, it's not. Why would you think that? What country are you in? I'm leaving the country, actually. It's terrible here. That's the reality of it. You have two people here, one with everything and one who has so much less. And the one with everything is saying, I don't like it here. The world owes me better. And the kid who doesn't have everything saying, I'm excited to be here. How can I contribute? That's where the difference lies. When people who like that is
because automatically these people assume they're going to be at the top of whatever system they're a part of.
Yeah. And you know what's going to happen in 8 years? These other kids, they're going to, the Mexican immigrant, he's going to graduate. He's going to have a great job. He's going to have a beautiful family. He's going to contribute to his community. The other kids who just complain about everything, they're going to graduate and be addicted to weed, and that's it. That's their personalities right now, anyway. And those people like this are the types of people who have revenge fantasies. People who haven't done anything or gone through anything.
That's the horrifying thought.
What?
Those people, they vote.
And those are the people who have these types of revenge fantasies because they think that they're somehow both owed, but yet are the worst of everything. Like they are trying to convince themselves they are victims to justify the fact that they are owed things. And I think that's where this is all kind of getting to. And like we started on like Ruby fans, but I think this is just a general mindset. I think that's why you have like Bumblebee shippers and you have people who read Redo on Healer unironically. I think it's the same thing, the same mindset that I have not suffered and the world, or I have not suffered, but I'm convinced I have, and therefore the world owes me. And And that's where all this projection and this violent attitude and the harassment comes from, that you are getting in the way of what the world owes me. The world owes me Bumblebee.
See,
The
the sick
world
part of
owes
this
me
is
women.
the sick part of this is I recognize even those elements in myself a lot. Like growing up, middle class white dude. Uh, I've had a wonderful life. When I look at like how shit the rest of the world can be, I've had an amazing life, and I still recognize in myself that I have some of that weird, because I like a lot of the school that I've had, a lot of the education that I've had have coddled me, and I like it only near the end did I really reach out, and I had to challenge myself with my education. Like it wasn't that my education was actually challenging me. It's just I had to actually reach out and put myself through a strainer to try and and I still have those elements stuck in my head that I have to actively fight against. It's one of
I
those
think
things where the system builds these people up, and it really disgusts me.
I think there's also the aspect of gifted child syndrome, which is like, you know, a lot of kids, they start out kind of more advanced than their peers. They read very advanced very early, they do some math pretty early, but the problem is they don't work to improve that because they think I'm already ahead of everybody. So by the time middle school rolls around and people's brains have really developed, they are now middle of the pack, and that really affects them down the line. um, and they kind of burn out, and they again it feeds into this victim complex that they were owed something better.
Yep.
And I should really put a disclaimer on all this. I grew up very well off. I I am like again basically these people I'm complaining about, but my parents grew up in working middle class families. My grandfather was a carpet cleaner. My other grandfather was a veteran. Uh, and it's just kind of always been drilled into me to kind of keep things in that perspective. And I think what really helped is going outside my, major metropolitan areas. I live in New York now, but I grew up in like my formative years were spent in the DC area. And the DC area is politics, 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 politics. Always, it's in the culture, it's everywhere. By the time you're 13, you are already hearing these very intense conversations. Um, and it's always about this kind of politics mindset of like getting ahead, and what this means and what that means. And what really kind of helped me keep grounded was thinking about how there's more beyond this. There's I did some volunteer trips to New Orleans, and New Orleans, this was like 2013, so we're
You're not
talking
pronouncing
like
it right. It's Narlands.
New Orleans. We're talking like less than 10 years removed from Katrina, but still a long time from Katrina. There are still roads in New Orleans that are warped from the water. Like there are sidewalks where like one is here, there's a road, and then the next is here.
Damn.
And like you see stuff like that, you're outside this kind of cushy existence. But and I think what makes it different is that it's not like seeing, slums in Haiti. It's not seeing like absolute dire poverty. It's normal. It's like there are most of the country is in this is our country. It exists near you. And these people in like New Orleans, a lot of them aren't on a constant deluge of politics. Yeah, a lot of them might be involved because a lot of people are, but most of them are just kind of living a day-to-day life.
I think we're getting way off into the weeds, honestly.
I know, but I'm on such a roll here.
I'll give you 5 minutes. You can wrap it up.
Okay, I'm on such a roll here.
Because I'm hungry. I gotta get food.
They don't know what's beyond just the most basic and okay things in their life, so that like to them there exists like their cushy existence, and then like the slums of Mumbai, and there's no in between. And
I'll say this: one of the most formative experiences I had as a child is we actually went on vacation to Mexico, which again, my family, I've had a blessed childhood. But one of the things that we ran into is, we were in Cancun, we went down these beautiful, beautiful beaches, and then we hit one section of the beach that was just absolutely garbage, literally strewn with garbage. In fact, there was human feces at one point, and I had to have my dad carry me because I was afraid of stepping on something like rusty or like crap. And it was just it was kind of an experience as a child that you don't think about, but looking back on it, it really gave me an appreciation for just how clean things are in America, like, and how things are well taken care of. Even some of the dirtiest places I've been in America were cleaner than that beach. A beach, mind you, that was what, a mile's walk from a resort. Like
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about like the more extreme things you'd see in like a place like Cancun, which is a lot of it's
no,
actually
but the
like
thing, like, Cancun is a massive, massive like tourist industry, and even still, this dirty beach wound up like invasive on it. It felt like this a black spot on a bright spot. It felt like it was one of those weird things to experience where, like, even in like one of their cleanest cities, this existed.
I'm not talking about like stuff in other countries that, like I'm saying, this isn't the difference between your gated community in Connecticut and like the worst parts of Cancun. I'm talking about like your gated community in Connecticut and like 20 miles from your gated community in Connecticut.
I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of perspective
Those
that you
people,
get with these things.
like, but it's not what I'm talking. I'm not talking about like extreme perspectives. I'm talking about like mild perspectives. The fact that middle class people that are living in, they're working in like a factory in Indiana aren't thinking about like, oh, but is this really, we need to really think about the gender theory of Ruby. This this only happens if you grew up in a comfortable and politics filled existence enough to start caring about such things. People who are cattle farmers in Idaho aren't thinking about this. It's because even if they know it exists, they're like, well, that's like a TV show that's fictional.
I gotta get out to Bessie. She has a stomach ache. Gotta make sure
Like
she's right for the breeding season.
People who are like obsessed with things like ships and whether Ilya is a representation of the indigenous peoples of America aren't aren't living like standard existences. They are children in a safe enough environment to severely worry about this kind of thing.
And Star, like,
I think
I know those things happen in the States too. Trust me, I do know. But it's like, it's one of those things that, like, you just, having been to a couple of nice beaches in America, none of them have wound up ending in another really bad beach like that. I'm just there's I don't want to go into it. It's a whole, like, just, it had an effect on me as a child is what I'm trying to say. Please continue.
The thing I'm trying to say is that the question of why are Ruby fans like this is really part of a greater issue of teens with very little perspective and very little problems. That's why they're like this, is because they need a reason to feel oppressed, because that's the trend, and they need to be, they need to prove that they're the hero, and that's what really it all comes down to, is that they need kind of, if I was a psychiatrist and I had to give these people something, I would say go work on a farm for 3 weeks. Like, yeah, why are you more worried about the grim design depicting Native Americans than the actual conditions of Native Americans? They'll share their fundraisers, they'll do their thing. Would they actually go get their hands dirty and like help build a school on a reservation? No. Why would they do that? But they did share that card. So you should respect them. They are true progenitors of social justice. Ruby is kind of a show that's a microcosm. Like, its fan base is kind of a microcosm of it, where it's about saying things, not doing. And I think that's where we should end the stream.
Yeah, I think that's probably about the best thing to wrap up. Now, remember, next week, me and Molly are going to write a song, probably a sea shanty. We'll see. We'll see what that pans out. The main prompt next week for everyone is minor villains not interacting with the heroes. And specifically for Anime AK, buddy, you need to write a nice picnic scene. Not villain related. Don't do the villain stuff. Just a nice picnic scene, man. That's all you need. We gotta get you free of the angst. All right. All right. So, with all that said, and there was a lot said this stream. Oh my god. Thank you.
Sorry,
all.
you guys got me going when that happens.
Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll catch you all